Good Wednesday evening. I'm Keely Van Mittendorp. First at 10, we turn to our fire watch. MTN News is working to learn more about a fire that broke out west of Great Falls earlier this evening. Calls for a trailer on fire came in around 5:20 p.m. Fire crews from areas including Ulm, Vaughan, Manchester, and Black Eagle were on scene. Firefighters worked through heavy rain and wind to stop any spread. Crews began clearing the scene shortly before 7:30. The cause of the fire is not known at this time. We're also looking at the number of injuries, if any were reported. We'll update you as we learn more. And our day may have started off dry, but a strong spring storm moved into the Treasure State this afternoon. Brandon Michaels is here now. And Brandon, you're tracking heavy rain, mountain snow, and even some gusty winds.
Yeah, it's been a pretty nasty afternoon and evening. Not very nice out there. We're going to take a look at first the wind gusts, because we talked a lot about the heavy rain that was going to be heading our way and the snow, but the winds have been strong too. 40-mile-per-hour gust in Great Falls, 40 in Cutbank, 43 in Helena, and actually a 60-mile-per-hour wind gust down in Dillon, but that was associated with a thunderstorm that moved through earlier. We have picked up heavy rain across parts of the area, namely the Great Falls area. That's where we've seen the worst of it. Over a half-inch of rain already at the Great Falls Airport, and we're starting to see those totals increase toward Lewistown as well. And of course, we're going to see quite a bit more of that rain, because you can see we've got a pretty good band of precipitation set up across north central Montana here this evening. The heaviest of the rain still around Great Falls right now and moving just to the north of town, and quite a bit of blue on that radar too. We're seeing quite a bit of mountain snow, and we do expect that rain to continue. Looking at the late night forecast here, the next several hours still tracking rain showers and probably more mountain snow. And of course, we'll have more on the impacts from this storm coming up later in the show.
Thanks, Brandon. We'll check back in with you soon. The Montana Air National Guard took to the skies today to honor healthcare workers. Two C-130 aircraft from the 120th Airlift Wing performed flyovers throughout Big Sky Country. The event is part of the Air Force Salutes flyover program, with similar events planned throughout the nation. The Guard wants to demonstrate the Air Force's continued readiness during the national COVID-19 response, while saluting those at the forefront in the fight. MTN News spoke with one of the pilots who says it was all about thanking the heroes.
For me, I'm flying for the state of Montana, just all the first responders that are, out there on the front lines, protecting us and making sure we all get through this safely.
And the Guard flew over 20 Montana cities today. They started in Great Falls, one headed east, the eventually flying over St. Peter's Health in Helena. Frontline workers were outside St. Peter's viewing the flyover and appreciated the honor.
We view the military and National Guard as our heroes and the people that care for us and keep us safe and help provide us our freedom. And so to actually have them honoring us, we are so humbled, and really it's an honor that they're thinking about us.
And according to the National Guard's Facebook page, the flyovers are done with no added cost to taxpayers and serve as training for the pilots. Well, Montana's confirmed number of coronavirus cases is holding steady today at 456. Lewis and Clark has 2 active cases. Cascade County has 3. Toole County has the most active cases in the state at 7. You may notice Fergus County is no longer highlighted on the map. DPHHS says after a public health investigation, the case thought to be from Fergus County is not a Montana resident, and the person hasn't been in Montana for nearly a year. So that case has been removed from the state count. And May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and local organizations are encouraging everyone to take time for self-care. The Healthy Communities Coalition of Lewis and Clark County have compiled a mental and social well-being resource guide for the local communities in Montana. The guide includes direct links to many mental health resources, such as hotlines, addiction recovery, parenting resources, and how to stay happy and healthy during the pandemic. Loneliness and isolation have always been health issues in Montana. COVID-19 just made it more prevalent. The Healthy Communities Coalition says it's vitally important for people to take care of themselves physically, socially, and emotionally.
Mental health, really impacts overall health and especially chronic disease. But I think oftentimes it's one of the last things that is addressed.
The Mental and Social Wellbeing Resource Guide is a living document that will be continually updated with additional resources as they become available. And the COVID-19 pandemic has already proven to be a defining moment in history. The Montana Historical Society is working to make sure Montana's stories are preserved for the records. On the Historical Society's website, there are 2 surveys aimed at capturing the Montana perspective, one for adults and the other for students. People are able to share written stories or submit photos, videos, poems, and other artwork. When taking the survey, the Historical Society is hoping people share both the positives and the frustrations and heartache of living during the pandemic. State Archivist Jody Foley says what is collected will be a huge benefit to future historians and Montana residents.
And that's very much what we were trying to do, is to gather that sort of raw data and get it at a time when it's fresh in people's minds and they have a sense of really how they feel.
People are asked to fill out the survey now and then again in a few months to reflect on the changes in their own lives. Moving now to the campaign trail, a Democratic super PAC has made the first major independent media buy in Montana's U.S. Senate race, attacking Republican incumbent Steve Daines. The Senate Majority PAC, whose main task is to elect Democrats to the Senate, began running the ad in Montana TV markets on Saturday. It accuses Daines of worrying most about corporate profits during the coronavirus pandemic, while opposing some benefits for workers. The Daines campaign called the ad outright lies and distortion, and says Daines supported worker benefits and stimulus bills. It also called on his likely opponent, Democratic Governor Steve Bullock, to denounce the ad as financed by so-called dark money. Senate Majority PAC reports its spending and donors to federal regulators. The Bullock campaign declined to denounce the ad and instead noted that Bullock is a strong supporter of efforts to regulate dark money spending. At least 3 outside groups have also spent about $350,000 to help Daines' re-election. And in news around the nation tonight, the Supreme Court once again wades into the dispute that pits a woman's access to birth control against religious freedom. The justices heard oral arguments by phone this morning, with one joining from the hospital. CBS's Kate Smith reports from New York.
The Supreme Court is considering whether the Trump administration went too far with a rule change allowing more employers to deny employees free contraceptive coverage.
Not everybody who seeks the protection from coverage has those same objections.
The Affordable Care Act requires most employer health insurance plans cover birth control at no cost. In 2017, a new Trump administration regulation allowed employers to opt out for religious reasons or sincerely held moral objection. Pennsylvania and New Jersey challenged the rule.
Religious organizations are already exempt. They already are exempt from providing contraception. This is about whether some huge employer is able to deny women access to contraception because they believe it's morally wrong.
Currently, groups that object to birth control coverage on religious grounds can opt out of paying for contraceptives, and the insurance company or government will step in to pay. The Catholic nonprofit Little Sisters of the Poor say that's not enough.
That form acts as a permission slip. The Little Sisters are saying, please just keep us out of that.
The Supreme Court has weighed in on the ACA's contraceptive requirement twice already, including in the 2014 Hobby Lobby case, ruling family-owned companies that object on religious grounds can opt out.
This idea that the balance has to be all for the Little Sisters type organizations and not at all for the women, it just seems to me to rub it against what is our history of accommodation, of tolerance, of respect for divergent views.
Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg asked her questions from a Baltimore hospital, where she's being treated for a benign gallbladder condition. Kate Smith, CBS News, New York.
Thanks, Kate. And up next, accessing agriculture to the touch of a button. More on a virtual learning opportunity for Montana youth. Next.
Powered by the Montana Television Network. The 10 o'clock news continues on KRTV, Montana's news leader.
And welcome back to the evening news. The time now is 10:15 on this Wednesday night, and the coronavirus pandemic has changed the way students learn, and that's also true for one of Montana's leading industries. In tonight's Montana Ag Network feature, Lane Nordlund introduces us to farmers and ranchers who are going above and beyond to educate youth across the Treasure State about agriculture.
Traditionally, each spring, farm fairs are held across the state to educate youth about where their food comes from. COVID-19 isn't slowing down the Montana Farm Bureau, who will host a virtual farm fair the week of May 11th.
When we realized that this at-home learning was going to be continuing through the end of the school year, we knew that kids were not going to be able to participate in those farm fairs like they typically do. They get those field trips away from school for the day and go to find out what's going on in farms and ranches and what's happening with agriculture all across Montana. And we did not want that opportunity for those kids to learn to be lost just because we couldn't have an in-person farm fair like we typically do all around the state.
The virtual farm fair videos will be hosted on the Montana Farm Bureau Facebook page and mfbf.org.
10 different videos. Each one of them is about 8 minutes long, and we're going to be covering topics of agriculture that are all across the state in Montana. And we have all volunteer members that are Farm Bureau members have kind of stepped up to the plate here and decided they wanted to participate in this. So they've really taken it on and have done some amazing videos.
While the content is focused for 4th and 5th grade students, the whole family can participate.
How bees turn that pollen into honey. We're going to be talking about cattle and lambs and branding, why we brand calves, what that means. We're also going to be talking about pulse crops. And we're going to learn my favorite station ever, and I think probably everyone's, is how to make your own ice cream. It's a really good one and always a popular one. And also they're going to be learning about some chickens as well. These videos are targeted for the 4th, 5th grade age level, but you know, there's something in there for everyone.
For more on the virtual farm fair, visit mfbf.org. Reporting in Bozeman, Lane Northland, MTN News.
Thanks, Lane. And Great Falls area shoppers have one more option for fresh meat. A new butcher shop opened its doors in downtown Great Falls for the first time today. Owner Drew Hicks says Central Avenue Meats has been in the works for several years and believes even with this pandemic, his timing is still right on track. Hicks isn't worried about running out of meat. He partners with a rancher in Belt and a slaughterhouse in Miles City for his product. We have more on the new shop, including hours of operation, on our websites. And it's hard to stay healthy and safe without a roof over your head. We continue to highlight ways for you to rebound from the coronavirus pandemic. I sat down with housing experts to see how the market looks for potential buyers. While hundreds of thousands of businesses were forced to shut their doors nationwide, some industries, including real estate, have remained open as buyers look to put a roof over their heads.
We are essential because everything in real estate's time sensitive.
Even though agencies are allowed to operate, some including Century 21 Northwest Realty Montana took extra precaution. Travis Manis says they closed their lobby to the public back in March and agents worked from home.
It was a little bit business as usual and we kind of felt like that wasn't putting public safety first.
The office reopened its doors on Monday, but best safety practices are still prioritized.
If you're going to have a client, ask what their expectations are. Maybe put a sign on the door that says, please wear gloves, use hand sanitizer.
Some realtors have always used technology to stay connected to clients.
So I've done the virtual tours on all my listings from day one.
And believe video tours have been key over the past few months.
I've seen views go up and trend to go up.
Realtors from both agencies say sales have been steady through the pandemic.
Seen even more wanting to buy and on the same and wanting to sell.
Even with the housing market looking steady, NeighborWorks Great Falls officials anticipate seeing more homeowners from all financial backgrounds needing help over the coming months.
Maybe the income that they had has dropped tremendously and they're not used to managing it that way.
The nonprofit's free programs include things like financial and foreclosure prevention counseling and mortgage delinquency.
What's my next step? They don't have an understanding of how to handle that, and they just need a support system.
MTN also reached out to Man Mortgage in Great Falls. Leaders there say they're seeing low interest rates and believe now is still a good time to invest. And remember, if you are struggling, there are free programs that can help. Also, the Great Falls Association of Realtors tells me that the housing market here had a record-setting year back in 2019. That was due to low interest rates and the number of houses for sale. The association says new listings in Great Falls have decreased this year, keeping it a seller's market with benefits for buyers as well, with interest rates remaining low.
We're tracking heavy rain and areas of heavy snow tonight, and that's going to keep falling through the evening. We'll tell you what to expect after the break.
Now, here's your Storm Tracker weather forecast with meteorologist Brandon Michaels.
Looking at the Doppler network, still a lot of moisture across the state of Montana, still dealing with heavy rain, although it's starting to weaken a little bit. We're going to be left with these steady showers through the evening. A lot of blue there, too. The Little Belt Mountains picking up some pretty heavy areas of snow, same with the Divide, and we're going to kind of take a step back here and talk about what's forcing that. A pretty good storm system, a pretty potent spring storm. Mississippi area low pressure sitting to our south, but it's this little trough here, and that's along that trough where we're seeing all the precipitation. Now, this is going to hold fairly steady and eventually move off to our south, so that's going to limit the spread of the rain, but it's going to keep the heaviest rain almost in place. We'll take a look at the next couple of hours. Hardly any changes, so that heavier band of rain is pretty much going to stay right where it is into tomorrow morning. We start to see that move off to the south, so places like Havre and Glasgow are looking to actually miss out on this. For the most part, you do start to see quite a bit more of that blue. That mountain snow continues. Could even see a little bit of mixing down to the lower elevations. Fortunately, though, not looking at accumulating snow at the lower elevations. Just a couple of flakes mixing in. Most everything is done with by noon, and then we're just going to get a couple of pop-up showers here and there by the afternoon hours. You can see these little showers and storms, very scattered, nothing to be as concerned with. Definitely not as much moisture as what has moved in tonight. And we're not done. We're going to still see quite a bit more. Again, as I said, though, it looks like we're going to be kind of limited in the scope of how far north this rain can push. So not much more, if any more, for places like Havre and Glasgow, but still a quarter to another half inch in Great Falls, and up to an inch of additional rain is going to be possible down toward the Lewistown area. And of course, it's not just rain we're tracking. We've got to contend with the snow as well. We do have winter weather advisories that are in effect tonight into tomorrow morning. The more significant snow is going to be in the Little Belt Mountains. That's where we've got that advisory above 5,500 feet. That should be 55, not 5,000. Up to 10 inches of snow are going to be possible there. So Kings Hill Pass by tomorrow morning, probably pretty slippery. Marias Pass could be as well, up to 4 inches, so not as severe of impacts as that snow continues to fall along the Divide. And as you would expect with some snow in the forecast, the potential for that mixing down to the lower elevations, we are going to be dealing with some chilly spots overnight tonight. Lewistown down to 33, 34 in Geyser, 33 White Sulphur. Great Falls probably right around 37 degrees for the overnight low, so not quite as chilly in Great Falls, but again, we drop a degree or two from there. We could see some of that snow mixing in. 38 in Cutbank. In general, more mild conditions off to the east. Only 47 for the overnight low in Glasgow. Forecast temperatures through the day tomorrow. Not as warm as today by any means. Many of us saw mid-60s to even 70s today. You notice those temperatures are kind of stuck right in the 50s by tomorrow afternoon. And we'll look at the actual highs we're expecting right now. Not terrible for this time of year, but definitely chillier than yesterday. 58 only for Great Falls. Look at White Sulphur, only 49 for the high temperature there. 62 up in Chester, and you look off to the north and east, and in general, a little bit more mild with some mid-60s by tomorrow afternoon. Fortunately, the winds will have died down too. It's still going to be a little bit breezy by tomorrow morning, but by the afternoon, just 5 to 10 mile per hour winds, so nothing to be too worried about there. Let's go through the rest of the forecast now. Again, rain showers mainly early in the day tomorrow, and then another little round of scattered showers later in the day. Kind of the same story on Friday. As we head into the afternoon, we're going to see the development of a couple showers, maybe even a thunderstorm. Weekend looks pretty nice. Good amount of sunshine for Saturday, more clouds on Sunday, just a little bit cool for this time of year. We will see some additional rain chances for Tuesday and Wednesday. Keely?
Thanks, Brandon. The time is 10:26 on this Wednesday evening, and coming up, another popular summertime staple has fallen victim to COVID-19 concerns. Find out which rodeo you can cross off the calendar when the 10 o'clock news continues.
Powered by the Montana Television Network. The 10 o'clock news continues on KRTV, Montana's news leader.
Welcome back to the 10 o'clock news. The time now is 10:30 on this Wednesday evening. In a tough year for sporting events, the East Helena Valley Rodeo added their name to the list of cancellations Wednesday morning. Katie Bakke told MTN canceling the event was never something the rodeo committee wanted to do, noting the economic impact the rodeo brings to the surrounding areas, but they do look forward to being back in 2021.
our numbers have increased over the last few years. We've had record-breaking weekends, and it did benefit the city of East Helena and Helena, and we're heartbroken to have to do it. You know, it's just during this time, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is this year. We'll be back in 2021. I fully believe in that.
Bakke says the association has sent $7,600 in added prize money to the Northern Rodeo Association office that will go towards prize money at the finals in October. And the sports season has come to a halt the past few months, and for college coaches, it's been an unfamiliar break. They're usually on the road to games or hitting the recruiting trail, but for many, like Montana State men's basketball head coach Danny Sprinkle, they are grounded at home conducting things virtually. Team meetings, workouts, and recruiting are all done online. So what is Sprinkle doing with his time off? Well, it's no different than what you or I have found ourselves doing as well.
I don't watch much TV other than SportsCenter, and usually you don't have time, and I just watch that until I fall asleep. But I've actually got into a couple things on Netflix, like Money Heist. That's got me addicted a little bit. I'll find myself up at like 2:30 in the morning. I just got to shut it off.
Sprinkle says he continues to work from home and stays in touch with his players every day during the time away from campus. We'll be back with a final look at your forecast right after the break.
Welcome back. Still tracking rain tonight, and we're going to continue to track that through the overnight hours. Some heavier rain. Some spots could pick up an additional inch, especially closer to Lewistown. You do notice that rain kind of tapers off into the afternoon hours, and maybe just 1 or 2 showers popping up in the later afternoon.
And he's played a fighter pilot, so maybe it's not that big of a leap for Tom Cruise to play an astronaut, except that he wants to do it from space. And it turns out NASA is actually on board with this idea. They confirmed this week that they're working with Cruise to shoot a movie on the International Space Station. Wow. That's all I've got to say to that.
That's got to be...
Why can't you just, like, what's wrong with, like, you got a green screen
We
here.
got a green screen
Why
here.
not
He
just
can
use,
use
like,
that.
a black screen, you know, and just put some stars on there? Why do we have to ship him to space?
I don't know. I want to know what the budget is for that, too, because
Right.
Can't imagine it's cheap.
I mean, he's kind of like... He's shorter.
He's
so
a shorter guy.
Less fabric to ship to space.
I guess. There you go. The payload
Maybe,
isn't
like
as
the
heavy.
budget, it allowed that.
There we
the
go.
trip.
If he was taller, no way it could happen.
Right? 5'4", right there. 5'6", no way.
Cut off.
Well, that's all the time that we have tonight at 10. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow, bright and early on Montana This Morning. Have a good rest of your night.